Good evening, friends and neighbors. It's working. Please let me know if there's any trouble with the audio. This is tonight. The snow was coming down up here in the high country in Colorado, and I had trouble even getting on to begin with. So if I should mysteriously just drop away all of a sudden, y'all know what happens. Send a St. Bernard or something, will you? It's going to be fun talk. We are doing Q&A tonight, so lots to go on there. I am going to start tonight by a toast to you all. Here's a 90 shilling from Odell for you. 90 shilling, one of my favorite beers. Odell is a great brewery out here, so cheers. Here's a Chiefs Kingdom and a Super Bowl 54 victory. Carlos, I see that you asked a question already, and I want to make sure I answer it right away. I am not going to make it to the parade. Flights were pretty tough to come by, especially on the schedule that I have to keep because of the job. So it was a little bit difficult for me. I am not going to make it, but I do have something set up, a place for everybody to throw some footage. If you want to shoot some video on your phones or whatever, we'll find a place to share. I think I've got enough space right now, but I'm going to try it. So that said, Brian Gooch, man, you already did it. Before I can even say it, super chats are open. Brian Gooch, first one in, as pretty usual. Thanks, Brian. I appreciate that. If you want to support the channel, you can use the super chats or the super stickers, whatever you feel like. And I have some news. Not only did the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, but Yahoo, YouTube actually upgraded me. So I'm going to have memberships available on this channel. I have to figure out how I'm going to do it all, but they turned it on. So you're going to be able to be somebody that joins the channel as an insider. It gives you a bunch of perks here in the chat and a bunch of other things. So I'm going to explore that and figure out what kind of content I'm going to do as a specific bonus just for members, but that's coming. So that was kind of a nice surprise this morning. Man, Brian, thank you already. Yes, I do believe Sammy made a good dent in his money. I'm not going to say that he's going to earn it next season. I still think Sammy's going to end up being cut. I think he kind of understands that too, what he was talking about taking next year off as well. But yeah, I was really happy with what Sammy was able to do. He came up big, especially when he just throttled Sherman on that nice long ball that he ended up catching. And if you missed the stream last night, I kind of went into some of that, and I was really happy with the way he performed. It was a tough game. I thought they did a really good job of adapting to what they had to adapt to. So that said, Ron, thanks for yours as well. I just saw that. And I don't want to fall behind too far tonight. Guys, it's literally coming down, and I'm supposed to get 8 to 12 inches tonight, so I could lose internet at any time. So I'm going to just jump in this and try to keep up with the questions, and we'll just go as long as we can go. So Aaron Morrow, our super mod, is in the room. Thanks, Aaron. I appreciate you being in here and doing what you do, folks. If you have any issues, there should be some stragglers for some other teams come in here, want to start picking fights, just let Aaron know. I'm sure he'll catch it the first time around anyway. But let's jump into it. Let's see. Carlos answered yours. The next one is testicular tactics. What is the parade time? I believe it is 11:30, if I heard the mayor correctly today. A couple of folks were on a flight early this morning back from Miami, as was the mayor, and he made the announcement then. I believe it's 11:30 in KC. Pretty cool thing to ride home with the mayor. I enjoyed that. If you were on that flight, and I'm sorry I didn't get my phone muted before we started. It's my brother's birthday, so you never know when he's going to call and actually be ready to talk. So I hope you guys really enjoy the parade. I'm a little jealous. I think my family's going to be out there. I think that's going to really be pretty unique. I wish I could be there, but maybe next time. And I say that thinking there's going to be a next time. So let's just go with that. Justin Lashow, is it just me, or did I not see D Ford have much impact last night? No, D Ford did not have as much impact. Bosa clearly had more impact. I think he generated 12 pressures according to PFF. I can look that up real quick. I don't think that D had that kind of. I know he had a couple, but it wasn't that dramatic, to tell you the truth. And that's significant. That's what they needed. Ford did produce 5, which is better than anybody on the Chiefs team. Terrell Suggs led the Chiefs in pressures with 4. So, but that said, they play as a team. That's just the way that they work, and that's okay. I would like to have seen more pressure, of course, but in the end, it is what it is, and it worked out. I think this plays into the tactics that you've seen, not to mention tactics. From Sam, Wichita Sam, I think you guys know him. He's in the chat quite often. I don't know if you're in here tonight, Sam. If you are, pipe up. The conversation that PFF has had over the last couple of years about coverage versus pressure, and because of the speed of the play call, where quarterbacks are gone so much faster in the last 2 or 3 years than they have prior, it really does put the emphasis more on coverage than it does on pressure. And I think that paid off. The Chiefs got less pressure last night, but they got it when it counted. And they were able to put that together for a win. I think that really goes towards that argument in a pretty solid fashion. Man, Brian, that's awesome. Thanks, dude. I appreciate Brian Gooch has been supporting me from the very beginning, and I really appreciate it, Brian. Who's next? Samson, Chiefs Kingdom. I heard CBS podcast is Sammy is taking a pay cut. Like I said, that's the one scenario that I see where Sammy could stay. And if he is, I mean, you never know what happens in the joy of winning everything like you saw last night. Maybe Sammy's motivated to stay and is willing to take that pay cut. I hope that's correct. I hope CBS has that on the up and up. I think that'd be great. Sammy at $5 or $6 million a year is a steal. And I think it keeps that trio intact. I think it's a beautiful thing if they can pull that off. We're on 314. Thanks for the sticker. I appreciate that. Tagiel 10. What about the block from Sherman on Damian, right? Congrats. I've been following this channel since the playoff loss of the Pats next year. Oh, okay. Well, thanks. I'm glad you've been here that long. Yeah, Sherman played, I think, 7 snaps last night on offense. Played all the special team snaps, as he always does. He's one of the leaders on the special teams group. And if you missed it, what he was motivating the special teams unit with last night, Sherman's a vocal leader on that unit. And he was telling them that, let's be part of the positive story. Let's be a part of the record books when they do the Andy Reid story. And I thought that was a great way to go about it. It shows you just what kind of buy-in that they have and how ubiquitous the support for Andy Reid is across that team. I thought it was great. And thank you for being here for so long. Sherm played almost 41% of his snaps in the last 6 games. So as the season wore down, as it got close to crunch time, they ran the ball more. They needed him more. And I will give him this. I do think that Juszczyk is probably the best tight end in the game, but Anthony's right behind him. A year ago, I would have called that the reverse. But Juszczyk is such a weapon. And I will say this. I think what you saw from Juszczyk last night is a preview of what they're thinking about John Lovett. I think that's what he can be. I'm really excited about him. I want to see he and Sherman a backfield together. I'm really pumped about that. Okay, before I get too sidetracked, Gary Holland's next. Do the Chiefs re-sign Pennell, and does Sugg retire, or do the Chiefs try to re-sign him? I think they're going to have an open conversation about trying to bring him back. He's a total free agent. So even if he wanted to go to Baltimore and try to help them get back to a Super Bowl, he could. But I found him pretty humble, pretty modest, and I felt like he enjoyed his time in Kansas City. If he does retire, I understand. If he tries to go back and sign with the Ravens, I understand. But last night, from his interviews on, I think it was 41, I thought he was really contrite in his being able to experience this as a guy who got picked up after being released at the end of the season. Like that's a big deal. So more power to him. You know what I mean? Sorry, I'm trying to adjust this. I'm getting a little flicker. So I would like to see them try to bring him back. The money's an issue and that kind of thing. So we'll just see. Money's going to be real tight. It's going to be a crazy offseason, you guys. 20-plus free agents. It's going to move. Gary, to finish your question, I hope that they do re-sign Pennell. I think somebody's going to make him an offer. I think he might be a guy who wants to stay. I think he's appreciated by Spags and Daly. I think that goes a long way. I definitely want him to stay. Maximo, thanks for yours. I appreciate it, bud. Danny Roll, do you see the Chiefs keeping Sorensen since he's a huge part of the special teams? I mean, and Dan's played down the stretch. Dan's played the best football of his career. I think that's might even be more telling. He had a little bit of trouble last night. Missed a couple of tackles. Just not quite speedy enough in some places. So there's an argument to be made that maybe they just let him walk. I think the biggest question is, much like most of the guys that are on this team that are up for free agency, it's going to be about what some other team is going to offer them, because there's only so many dollars to go around, and I think that's pretty tight, to tell you the truth. So we'll see how that comes down. Richard Triplett. Oh, sorry. Tactics. How do we afford Mahomes and Jones? That's the question. And that's why Brett Veach and Clark Hunt both said that the Holmes deal is about 12 to 15 months out. They're going to wait till the CBA comes in so they know what it's going to mean going forward. And I think Patrick's going to be okay with that. He's on the 4th year, the final year of his rookie deal, but they do have the 5th-year option if it was that kind of thing. I don't think it's going to come to the 5th-year option, but I do think they'll use this year to negotiate, get things in place, see what the CBA is. And I think Patrick understands that last year on his rookie deal is probably the best way he has to help this team reload him some weapons and to help support the defense. So I feel like Patrick Mahomes wants that dynasty. I feel like Patrick Mahomes is going to be more motivated to continue to win than to get paid. He makes a ton of money on endorsements, and I'm pretty sure that's going to be a lot for him. Good question there, Daniel. Test. Daniel says, what about keeping Sorensen? Oh, no, I answered that one. Sorry. It's Richard Triplett next. Seemed like Andy wasn't rolling Patrick out of the pocket enough. I thought Patrick should have been moving more. Do you agree? I thought that they moved the pocket pretty well. I think he had trouble escaping. I think Bosa in particular was beating both tackles to the edge. Schwartz recovered a lot better than Fish did against him. And I think that controlled part of it. So I would put it more on the defense being able to keep him inside than them not trying to. Stevie Keys, I believe there are 20 free agents now. How many do you think that they re-sign? I think it's going to be hard to make more than 5 or 6, knowing that one of them's got to be Chris Jones. That's going to be a tough one. Testicular, do you like Shakira or J-Lo? I don't. I don't follow either of their music. I like J-Lo as an actress most of the time, except Geely, I guess. But, go watch Money Train. You can have an appreciation for J-Lo back in the day. How would you feel about getting David Johnson? I don't think David Johnson can put out for the dollars that he will command enough to make a difference in this offense. So, no, I wouldn't think so. A low-end free agent, a middle-tier guy, and definitely a rookie in the draft is my thought. Brian Gooch, thanks again. If Sammy leaves, pay Mike Pennell. The boy is a beast. You are absolutely right, Brian. And I do think that would be great. I would really like to see that. Kansas Caroliner, I think that when Casey went to no huddle offense, it started to slow down San Francisco's rushers and their DBs. Your thoughts? I don't think that it slowed down the rush itself. I think as it went on, I think they got a little bit winded, quite frankly. And I think more than anything, I think it kind of got solid in a little bit of a rut. The Chiefs seemed, as they picked up their tempo, they seemed to have a better idea of what was going on and being able to combat that defense. So that's kind of what I chalk it up to. Let's see. Cole Keeler. So you know of a DVD of the game that's available? I didn't. I just talked to NFL Shop, and they told me all they have is a highlight video. It's ridiculous. Cole, that's not abnormal. It takes them a while. They'll cut it together. They'll do narration over the top of it. Like, there'll be a whole production stuff that comes out. It just takes a while. It's not released right away. They might take pre-orders for it, but I don't know how they do their business. Stevie Keys, thanks for your donation, bud. Thanks for the season. Looking forward to the draft metrics. Yeah. Folks, if you are new around here, you haven't been through a draft season with me, I run Rogue Analytics. I have my custom athletic matrix, which are metrics specific to athleticism and how it's applied functionally on the field. I've developed that over the years as a strength and conditioning coach and an exercise physiologist. That's what I do. That's what my side business is, and I will cover it here in depth. You will be surprised at just how much my metrics line up with some of the elite athletes in this league. Thanks for pointing it out, though, Stevie, and I appreciate the support. Hog Farmer, what's up, buddy? Dylan Kruckman, another huge supporter. I appreciate every time you donate. Thanks, Dylan. It's very much appreciated. Who's the real MVP, Damian or Pat? That's a good question. I look at it this way. Damian busted it on that last run especially with the block from Sherman. Before that, he'd run for about 60 yards, some pretty tough yards. But I don't think that was enough to give him the MVP. And quite frankly, I don't think they come back if they don't have Pat. So I think it's I would say that Damian should have been number 2 in the voting, but I think especially at the timing of when he scored that touchdown, Pat had done so much to bring them back. I don't think he was going to overtake him. So I don't think it's hurt feelings or anything or sour apples. I just think that's the way that it went down, Dylan. Virginia, how are you? Nice to see you in the chat tonight. I just scrolled too far, so now I'm getting back to you. Do you think Damian Williams should have been considered for MVP? Yeah, definitely. And I do think he was the runner-up. I would have liked to seen Frank or Jones or Tyron there, but I do think Damian probably made more of an impact. The defense played very well as a group, but Damian had more individual impact. Casey Fires, or somewhere on the defense that stood out to you that maybe didn't get much attention. I will say this. I thought Hitch was solid. I thought Rags was solid. I think they both could have played better. I think the guy to me, and he didn't get the greatest PFF score, or grade, I should say, that the guy that stood out to me was Derek Nottie. He got pushed. He got pressure when he needed to. I think he did get an official one. I thought he was in position most of the time. And quite frankly, when he did get moved, it's because they had to dedicate multiple people to him that freed other guys up. So I think it all started and stopped right there at what they were trying to do with Derek Nottie. And in the secondary, Bashad Breeland's contribution to that game cannot be understated. That he played a big role. I was really happy with his work, as well as Matthew and Fuller. And Sorensen, for the most part, I know he had a couple of bad plays, but I'm not going to hold that against Dan. I thought he was up against better athletes, and that's a little difficult. Let's see. Justin Trobaugh. Thank you, Justin. I'm glad we got to hook up this week. I will get you that info. What do you think about Pat taking all those hits? I was getting worried. I was too. And it wasn't just that the line was getting demolished. They were giving him enough time to get the ball out if it were quick passes. Some of those were decisions on Pat's part, and especially the runs made me a little nervous. But, man, he wants to be a tough guy too, and he wants to prove you're not going to knock him out. Dwight Raleigh, do you think that we repeat next year? If guys as good a chance as anybody else, but there is a lot of work to do. It's going to be difficult. You're going to see probably 4 new starters on defense, and you got to figure out the line and the receiver group. We'll see what Sammy does. Let's see, Stevie. If price wasn't an issue, thoughts on signing Jimmy Ward? Saw he lined up at slot, CB, OLB, and safety this season. Yeah, I've never been a big fan. I think he is, rather than being the positive connotation of a hybrid, I think he is a tweener. Someone that doesn't really do everything well. I would not be interested in him myself. There are 8 or 10 other guys that I'd be going after. One of them's on this roster in Kendall Fuller, and unfortunately, I think he's going to get a contract that's going to be something the Chiefs can't afford, but you never know. Becky, thanks for yours. I appreciate that, and I like the thumbs up kind of thing. Maximo, what do you think the Chiefs are going? What you think the Chiefs are going to look first? I assume you mean look at position wise, and it'll be to try to take care of their own. Can they get something done long term with Chris Jones? Can they re-sign Sammy? Will he take that pay cut? I mean, those are all decent questions. Oh, at the draft, there's only 4 positions you draft in the first round if you know what you're doing, and Brett Veach knows what he's doing. So that's quarterback. They don't need it. Left tackle. Fisher's good. He's getting older, though. You could see them go on a limb if they really like one of the tackles. But the offensive tackle class isn't that great, so I don't anticipate that. And then you get edge rusher and you get cornerback. And I do feel that there are a number of cornerbacks that will be available at 32, and it's just nice to say that they're picking 32, that can come in and help this team. I particularly like Diggs and Fulton. They're different, but I do like both of them, and I think they can both play for Spags. Spags ran down the stretch about 52% man, 54% man. I don't have the stats from last night. So really, what that does is it doesn't limit you. You don't have to have man corners, and you don't have to have zone corners. That opens things up. So I do think there's going to be a corner available. I think it's their top priority. It's definitely mine, and I do think that there's going to be someone available there that can help this team. That's not if they don't trade back. You can get more value, and I do feel that the second round is the best round to get talent this year in terms of value. Matt Mitchell, what's up, buddy? We'll say that the Chiefs are. Yep, absolutely. They did pull it together in crunch time. Finn, how are you? How important is Noddy to this defense? He is the spark plug, man. If your nose tackle continues to get moved out, like we've seen in years past, nothing else works. And you get demolished. He is uber important. I was a little disappointed Colin Saunders didn't play a little bit more last night. That might have been because of the pass rush thing. But I do think you need to bring Pennell back. I'm not sure Xavier is going to stay on this roster. We'll have to look at savings and that kind of thing. But I think Colin Saunders needs to get in the weight room this offseason, and I think he has room to take a big step forward next season. Nathan Rodebush. Sorry, I said that backwards. Appreciate your donation. Thank you. Pennell was great. What do you think it would take to keep him? That's a tough one. I mean, he's a run-first interior defensive lineman. They don't get high dollar. I think probably, I don't know, he's coming off of a Super Bowl that he really helped them get to. His agent can make a lot of, like, pump-up demands. I think it'll probably take 5 or 6 a year to keep him. I think it might be worth it. Yeah, I don't know. Because if you lose Pennell and you're talking about starting even Jones and Noddy, but you're going to see teams try to run on them continually until they prove year after year that they have the personnel to stop, and Pennell is really important to that. Great question, though, Nathan, and thanks for the donation. I appreciate it. Justin Trobo, what do you think about Hunt says his heart hurts because he should have won with the Chiefs? Yeah, I think it should. Get your act together, Kareem. Figure your life out. Stop being a screw-up. There you go. Let's see. Oregon Chiefs fan, what's up, buddy? Or Chris? Changing your name on me, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading into it. You think K-Pass had a good game? He looked like he was busy. I think he flashed at me a couple of times. Again, for a guy that's that tall and that long, he gets penetration from time to time. It wasn't great. I didn't see a lot of it. So I could go back and look at PFF's grade on him. I'm not going to take that without a pretty good grain of salt. They did not grade him very highly. One of the worst, actually. I'm not so convinced with that. I mean, you miss a tackle, which he did, and I give credit to the Niners running backs. They make you miss tackles. But that really hurts you in PFF grades. And I'm not as penalizing for that, in my opinions, than they are with their grades. So that's kind of what I think of that. Ian Ballard, how are you, bud? Does the result of the playoffs prove Seth Kaiser right that the ground and pound trend doesn't work anymore? No. And Seth and I go back on that all the time. I'm sure we'll have another 8 arguments this next year. It doesn't. It's about whether you can get chunk plays, and it's about whether you score on those possessions. Whether time is taken off or not, that's one way of playing. It's not the end-all, be-all. It's about whether you put points up, and if you do that, you do limit and put pressure on the other offense to put points up. If they do, then it doesn't work. So nothing is all encompassing. And Seth tends towards the flashier, the pass. He's pass first. That's all right. There's 100 ways to skin a cat in this league. And a lot of it is dependent on players' skill, position, abilities. So that's not a problem. Nah. I think all that stuff is people's preferences coming out as arguments. None of that is definite in any argument that anyone's ever put up. Stevie Keys, PFS was really down on official last night. Chalk it up to an anomaly, a great opponent, or do the Chiefs need highly consider upgrading LT? No, I think that was the competition. The fact that D4 didn't go off, I think, is a good thing. I think that says that he's he's good. He's not elite. Eric Fisher's never been elite, but he is a good tackle, and I think that's fine. I'm more concerned about if you not upgrading him, but backing him up. Right now, Cam Irving's the backup tackle. That's not good enough. Injuries, and Eric was out a lot. The fact that the Chiefs won every game that Eric Fisher played this year tells you something. My concern would be if he gets hurt again. I think they need to upgrade their backup tackle position and aim towards a guy that could become a starter in 2 years, is my thought. Great question, though, Stevie. Ralph Dress, can we please have the draft next week so Veach can go get him again? Yeah, that'd be great. Maximo, do you see any 49er free agents that the Chiefs might look to try and get? I have not looked at the Niners list. I have looked at the Chiefs free agent list. I haven't looked around the league yet, other than the guys that I'm always watching, like corners. But I'll take a look at that and let you know. Let's see here. Okay, Fred Davis, thanks for your donation. Very nice. Who will we lose because of salary cap issues? Sammy, it may be LDT's time. Didn't have his best game. Very expensive along that offensive line, and I think there's a reasonable chance that they part ways. Anthony Hitchens will be here. There's no reason to cut him. He doesn't give you any salary cap relief, so there's no reason to do it. Beyond that, I don't know if that would be a surprise. I think more surprising is that you're going to lose players because other teams want to spend money on them. I think Fuller, I think probably Sorensen, Demarcus Robinson, someone's going to give him a contract and hope that he can be their number 2 wide receiver. I don't think the Chiefs are going to pay him like a number 2. I don't think he's there. So I think if they're going to lose him as well, LaShawn, Terrell, they could all be gone. Good question, Fred. And thanks for the donation. Appreciate it. Ken Stewart, do you feel this is the start of a dynasty like Kelsey said? I think it can be. I think that it may feel like that, but there's a lot of work to be done on the salary, on the roster, to make sure that you continue to support Patrick Mahomes and that you give him a defense that can follow Tyron and Frank and get there and get it done. This is going to be a big transition for this defense in terms of personnel. Now they have the scheme down. They learn how to play Spag system. Now they need the personnel to get that much better at it because teams are going to give them their best knockout punch every day, every down. Good question. Mo Runnels, could you see the Chiefs tagging Jones and trading him to get a top 10 pick? I don't think he earns a top 10 pick, but I do see that scenario as a possibility. I know at some point folks thought that he would be he came into camp. He took that step forward. Folks started to feel like the team wanted to re-sign him. I think they were happy with him for a while. I don't think that he plays the run well enough for them to make him a full-time guy. And if he wants Frank Clark money, I don't think he's putting that up yet. So I can see them franchise tagging him, letting him play on that. And if they do that, they could go draft a high-end defensive lineman to replace him. And then I could definitely see if that's their plan for them to try and trade. But you're not going to get a top 10 pick for Chris Jones. You might get a first rounder though. He is that good, but it's not going to break the top 10. Top 10 is for quarterbacks and supreme edge rushers and corners. Let's see here. Oregon Chiefs, Chris, sorry. I can see some impact players taking a discount to play here. Yes, a Super Bowl win and the fact that Mahomes is so young and will be here, that really does make this team an attractive place for free agents to come to, especially the fact that they have guys in Matthew and Clark that are forces in their areas of the field. I think that helps as well. Chris Wickman, opinion requested. Focus on DB improvement or linebacker improvement? I think linebacker improvement is more what you have to look at. I think DB replacement is what you need. Damian Wilson, Anthony Hitchens, you don't gain anything by releasing them. They're solid. They need to improve. I think Hitchens played much better in 2019 than he did in 2018 under Sutton. I think Damian Wilson was solid, but he didn't Like when you look at the three linebackers, Reggie Ragland made more impact plays, but he wasn't as consistent. He doesn't play the pass as well as Damian does. Damian Wilson was more consistent, but he didn't make the splash plays. There's a trade-off there. I think you need to improve, work on development, and improve the linebacker group. I think you have to go get new DBs, corners specifically. Ralph Dries, how do you feel down in your loins? Ooh, that's dangerous. When you heard the chop and the home of the Chiefs, that's what set people apart. I had a house full of people. A lot of them, Broncos regular fans, because I live here in Colorado, and that's what most people are here. My wife and a few Chiefs supporters were here. And for us, listening to the anthem, and I'm a singer, and I've been singing in bands since college. So we always watch the anthem like a little bit critically to see who hits what and who misses notes. And as we're going there, I knew it was coming. I'm not sure they did. Maybe they thought that the mics wouldn't be on, but man, when that hit, the whole room kind of lost it. It was great. 20 some odd adults going, ooh, look how many Chiefs fans are in that stadium. That was pretty cool. Good question, Ralph. Ryan Pearson, what were your thoughts on the synchronized spin play? I thought that was a nifty touch. It was definitely a distraction ploy. And I think really what it came down to, it really set apart. I'm going to put it in the film room this week. I think it was all a great way to distract the defense from what was going on. Give them a weird look. Give them a tackle overplay where the line was not balanced. And I think that really was part of the success. I thought it was a great move. Let's see. Brian Gooch, thank you again, sir. Put me down for a membership. Okay, I like that. You guys, I'm going to figure out what contact will go with the memberships. It's one of those deals where a couple of bucks a month, you become a member, you get special icons in the chats, you get emojis and all that kind of stuff that sets you apart from all the other people on the channel. When you make comments, when you make chat comments, a whole 9 yards. And then there's a way for me to put up special content for those guys. There'll be multiple levels, and I'll figure all that out. I don't have it figured out yet, but I definitely will. And Brian, I appreciate that. Memberships are going to be cool around here. Gary Holland, if Mahomes wins 2 more Super Bowls in the next 5 years, they're going to put him in the Hall of Fame, right? Hey, he's already there in terms of being able to be considered. When you talk about the 2 other guys that have won the Super Bowl MVP that were younger than him, I talked about it last night. Marcus Allen and Lynn Swann. They're both Hall of Famers. That's Super Bowl MVP, season MVP, and a Super Bowl win. I mean, that's more resume than some people have in the Hall. So, yeah, I can see it. Carlos say, what running back would you like in the future draft? Man, I have not dug deep into running backs yet. Trying to think off the top of my head, somebody that I watched this season that I liked. I think the kid from Vanderbilt I liked. Again, I just see pieces here live. I'll get into that. And running back's one of the last positions that I do. So I'll definitely have a whole list for you. Jeff Porter, if you guys know him on Twitter, he's helping me this year, working on the analytics. We're going to have all kinds of stuff for you. It's going to be great. Stevie Keys, Dante Sarnecchia retired. I didn't know that. How much does the impact on the Patriots offense moving forward? I don't know that it's that much. The Patriots still are able to pull in pretty much whoever they want that isn't under contract. They'll get a good coach in there. Jay Gallig, what the heck happened to Mahomes' second interception? It's like he threw the thing right into the defender. I'm convinced from what I saw live on the broadcast that he did not see the defender. That was Warner, who was in a shallower zone. The ball was underthrown. And like several, I think Patrick hit his hand pretty good early in the game, and I think it was probably bothering him a little bit. And I think that caused some of the underthrows. But I just don't think he saw Warner at all. That's my thought. Carlos A, what do the Chiefs do with their first pick? If they're really lucky, Christian Fulton is sitting there and they run up to the podium and snag him and have a starting corner on day one. Testicular tactics. Why were the 49ers able to run on us? Please tell me it was the linebacker so people can shut up about our corners. You know, the linebackers missed a few. The safeties missed a few tackles. Even the defensive linemen got moved around a little bit. That's the best run game in the league. They do very well with angles. And if you overcommit even by a single step, you're out of position and you're going to get either reached or you're going to get cross-blocked. And that's what happened. I'll look at the All-22 and give you specifics. But in general, it's just a really good run game. The Chiefs held their own just fine. Their top two rushers didn't top 60 yards, either of them. I think they were still under 120 together. So not a worry. I thought the defense did just fine. They held their own. They took a couple of hits, a couple of big runs, but not anything that were super chunk plays, and definitely not the thing that I was worried about most, a 30, 40-yard rushing touchdown that gives the ability to score fast and runs you down. I thought the defense did just fine against the run. Let's see. Matt, when do we hear about what happened with Shady? I don't think it'll be till after the summer, until he's been a free agent and gone somewhere else or retired. That's my thought. Ryan Strange, if it came down to it, Chiefs wanted to take a running back in the first round, who would fit the Chiefs roster better? J.K. Dobbins or Jonathan Taylor? They do that, I'd quit. They take a first-round running back, I'd quit. I'll put it that way. But of the two, I like Taylor. I think there's injury history there. Like I said, I haven't gone through the running backs. A first-round running back, in my opinion, is a complete waste. I would never do it, and I never suggest any team does it. But if they did, I would just have to give you the rundown. I have no idea. Let's see. Oh, dang. Scrolled right past it. Okay. I think I got that one. Oregon Chief Chris, any free agent linebackers that you would love to pick up? I don't know. I'm always tempted. Blake Martinez is out there. He's the anti-Reggie, though. He's good in coverage. He understands angles, but he doesn't take on blocks. I like him, but I like him more in Hitchens' role than I do in Ragland's. So if they draft a linebacker early, if there's no corners left that they like and they go linebacker like Malik Harrison, I can see that. There's a couple that could maybe fill a role, but I'll dig a little bit deeper, see if I can find somebody else for you too. Ralph Dries, is it safe to say that last night's 100% solidified Veach winning with the Alex Smith trade with Mahomes starting and Fuller with those daggers? I wouldn't say that. I think I don't know. The Alex Smith trade, I think, man, I can't remember who they got with the picks they traded. So I don't know. I'm just consumed by how bad I feel for Alex Smith and how impressed I am with. I don't know if you guys saw that video on social media that he put out about his training and how he's considering a comeback. I think that's crazy. But hey, more power to him. Lucas Clamens, sign back Blake Bell as a tight end 2 or 3 question. I wouldn't. I was not ever impressed with him. He's not an athlete enough to exploit defenses, and he doesn't block well enough to crush in the run game. I see him and Yelder as pretty similar. Yelder just lacks experience. I think Yelder could be a backup. I would love to see them go try and talk to Greg Olsen. I'd love to see an experienced tight end that knows how to exploit zone defenses, particularly, be a backup. And I think Olsen might enjoy the Suggs treatment. Come here. You don't have to play every down. Play on passing downs. Do a couple of cool things. Andy will throw a wrinkle in for you. You got a chance to come in a Super Bowl. I'd love to do that. All you got to do, Greg, is take a contract for $4 million. So, hey, we'll see what happens. Maximo, do you see Shady retiring? I think it's a distinct possibility. Daniel Rowe, who was the MVP on defense? Tyron got beat a couple times. I know everybody's been pointing that out, but he played really solidly. George Kittle did not destroy that team. And I think that's partially, and probably a big partially part, due to Tyrann Mathieu. I think Frank came on big late, and I think Chris Jones did too. You could pick any of them for me. I think the defense, the big thing was Tyrann Mathieu got them turned around. Frank challenged them a little bit. Tyrann Mathieu got in their faces, and I think that's what got them going. So I'd probably go with Tyrann. Finn, thoughts on Ward? I assume you mean the Niners for Ward. I'm not that impressed. I wouldn't go after him. Ryan, last night you said that you thought Lovett could be Juszczyk. Can you elaborate on that at all? Sure, Stevie. John Lovett was I think it was Ivy League. Was it Princeton? I don't know. He was a quarterback in college. He's a very good athlete. He moves well. He did his pro day workout as a tight end. He came to the Chiefs as a tight end, ended up running a bunch of routes in OTAs and early in camp as a fullback. What you saw Juszczyk do last night is run really good routes out of either the fullback or the H-back, the tight end that's off the line. Those kind of alignments. John Lovett can do that. Andy was pretty excited about him in the preseason, and I feel like that's kind of the direction he could go with him. So I can see, as good as Sherman is catching, Lovett's better catching. He's got more speed. He's less of a run block fullback, definitely. But he's a modern fullback type, and I think that what you saw Juszczyk you do last night, and you've seen him do all season, I think John Lovett can do that as well. 65 TPT. Will Jones get the franchise tag? I do think so. Maximo, do you see the Chiefs going after Derrick Henry? Not at all. He's going to get paid a ton, and the Chiefs can't afford him. Anthony Jacks, why did Chris Jones get snubbed other than local coverage on interviews? I don't know about Chris Jones. I think Tyreek has been pretty shy with the media. I think it kind of flew under the radar that Tyreek's son was with him. I don't know if that means he has full custody. We haven't gotten any update about the child services case. But the fact that he was there, I know Tyreek's parents were there too, and that's obviously part of it. But I just don't think it's something that Tyreek wanted to go out of his way to do a bunch of interviews and that kind of thing. Let him get past that stage of his life and let things settle down. So, Oregon Chief Chris, Kemp replaces D-Rob next year. Maybe. Kemp was coming on. I like that. I tell you what, the kid that I like that could surprise everyone and push for a roster spot is Jody Fortson. I like what Jody did. I thought he made progress as a guy from a smaller school that didn't always play the position. I think he's got a lot of what Andy likes. I just don't know if he can play special teams enough to make Dave Toub happy. I think that's what's going to be important. But I think Pringle elevates, and Pringle becomes one of your top three, unless they go out and get somebody or Sammy returns. I think McColl steps into Robinson snaps, and Pringle steps into McColl's. Does Derek Jeter, does Garrick Dieter make this roster in 2020? I don't know. Maybe not. We'll see. Let's see. Who's next? Mile High, how are you? I bet you're getting snowed on too. Do you think the Niners D was worn out by the fourth? I think partially, but I think it was more on a per drive basis. The fact that their offense went 3s and outs, that hurt. That turned them around, and the Chiefs ended up doing to them what we've seen be done to the Chiefs in years past. So, yeah, I do think physical conditioning did play a role in it. Andy Anderson, did you see the interview with Damian saying that the TD was supposed to be a run up the gut, but Sherman told him to follow him instead? No, I did not see that interview. Hey, that's instinct, man. And Andy's pretty open about that. If you guys see something, if you need to make an adjustment, make an adjustment. So if that is the case, more power to Sherman, more power to Damian, and I'm sure Andy was pretty pleased with it, is my guess. Gary Holland, do you know there is going to be free agents who want to play in KC? Yes, I agree with you. Definitely, they will want to come here. Who would you like to come into KC and play? I'd like to see Byron Jones is probably my top option. He's going to get paid. If you move other contracts around, I think he can probably be dealt with. I think he's a guy who could be a number one corner and help Charvarius Ward not have to go up against number one receivers all the time. And I think that helps Ward in his continued development. I really do feel they need a number one corner no matter what. And I like Byron Jones. Brian Gooch, Florio they got hits on MVP Pat. Florio tried to walk that back forever. And I'm done. I'm done listening to anything that guy says. Which is weird because I said that about Chris Sims about 3 years ago, and now I'm actually starting to listen to him more. I think he's come around and actually stopped trying to just be shocking and actually boiling down his analysis more. MD Van, do you think Sammy Watkins is gone? Yes, I do. I'd love to see him come back. And maybe by gone, we're ripping up this contract and he's going to agree to a lesser contract. And if that's the case, then hey, fine, that's great. But I do think that they need to release him from this contract one way or the other. I'd love to see him take a huge pay cut and come back because he wants to be here. And, Sammy's a groovy dude. He's out there, and maybe that's the priority for him. So you never know. 65 TPT, should we draft Jonathan Taylor? Sure, in the 4th round. What is your Fred Davis? What is your pay channel? I'm phasing it out. All the Chiefs content is coming over here. My other channel's on beer, and it's not a paid channel. YouTube's always free. We're going to do some memberships that will be behind a pay curtain, just for some added stuff. I might do a members only chat, every other week or so, something like that. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet, though, Fred. Ken Wood, nice to see you back. Waited my whole life to see the Chiefs as world champions. Decades of disappointment made this moment that much more special. How sweet it is. Yes, it is, my friend, and thank you for throwing me a fiver. I appreciate that. I became a fan of the Chiefs in 1992. That's the year that I transferred. I did my first couple of years at a college up in Washington State, and then I transferred to KU, and I learned about the kingdom. And it's been a long time coming. If you guys were on the chat last night, you saw me in Chiefs gear. I don't do that very often because I tried to be independent in my analysis, and quite frankly, I intend to work in the league at some point in some form or fashion. So I try not to show too much of a fandom for one team, but you saw me in that last night because it's been a long time coming, and I pulled for these guys since forever, since Dan Saliamua and the boys back in the day. So I'm with you, dude. Cole Keller, what round should we pick a center in? Ryder needs to go, however you pronounce his name. That's something I've been giving a lot of thought to, and I can't say that it has to be a center, although I think there are some out there. But I think as high as the second, but I definitely think a day 2 interior offensive lineman has to be on the cards. That's where I'm at as well. Hog Farmer, none of the mocks have a tight end going in the first round. What about taking one of the best at 32? I don't think there's any tight end out there that's worth a first round pick. I'm not sure there's a tight end worth a second round pick, to tell you the truth. I've done a little bit of work on them. None of them look like they're game changers to me at all. I even like that kid Thaddeus Moss from LSU, but even him, he doesn't have that kind of impact on the game consistently enough. So he's a 3rd round tight end to me, which is a great place to pick up a tight end. I'd love to see that. I think he's a guy that would fit into this offense pretty well, and Tyron would love that. Another LSU guy, right? Gary Hahn, what grade would you give Ward and Fenton for the year? Man, that's a good one. On a 100 scale like PFF, I'd probably put Ward in the low 80s, and I'd probably put Fenton in high 70s. Nothing against Fenton. That's just a rookie year. You make mistakes and whatever. I think they both made significant improvement, though, and I think that's important. ND, I got your question before. Sorry, I'm a little bit behind on the chat here, trying to pick through these questions. Pono Kawhi, aloha, how are you? A lot of the sports writers are bringing up the mock drafts that the Chiefs should take the running back out of Wisconsin at 12. Yeah, that's Taylor, right? Or he had a Stanford. I can't keep him straight. I know that you're not high on taking a running back. He is pretty good. And even for those who would take a first round running back, they do have him up there pretty good. Most people. I haven't seen the guys that I really trust. Dane Brugler, Matt Miller, Eric Galco, although Eric's heavy in the XFL now. So I don't think he's going to be doing any of the NFL combine stuff. So it's way too high for me, but I think that's not too high for somebody. Somebody will make a mistake and take a first round running back again. Donald A, all the highlights videos I've seen, Miss Tyron going nuts and getting the D going. Have you seen one with it? And do you see how important that is as I do? I do see it as very important, Donald. I think that's the thing that sets him apart. And I haven't seen anything out of what was on the broadcast. So, no, I haven't seen any highlight reels of it. I think there'll be a mic'd up or 3 that comes out. So we'll see what happens. Maximo, with this Super Bowl win, do you feel like the free agents are interested in playing KC now? Yes, I do think this makes it easier to bring free agents to Kansas City. Fred Davis, plug your pay podcast. My podcast is free too. That's Locked On Chiefs podcast, Fred. Free on everywhere. Google, iPad, iPod. Good God. iTunes, Apple Podcasts, whatever you call it, whatever the Apple does that has podcasts on it, we're on there. So yeah, feel free. Let's see. Aaron, when are you going to wear Justin's shirt on the show? I actually closed down my P.O. box. I got to go open that again, and then I'll give it Justin. Once I get it, I will wear it for you guys. I promise you. And if I do it right, I might even be able to put it in a frame here in the back and have it in a lot of the videos. That's super kind of Justin, and I really do appreciate it. We just got to work out the logistics. Let's see. Sif the Great. Should we do a O-line through the draft? Definitely. I think it should be probably on the second day from what I've seen so far. I like the guys out of LSU. I like the guys out of Oregon, probably a little farther down. I think they might be, 4th round picks rather than 3rds. And I'm perfectly fine with that. There's some decent depth at the interior guys that I think could play in this offense. So we'll look at it more. Jay Kane, the Landlord and Thornhill a best safety duo next year? That's a really good question. I thought Thornhill made a lot of improvements. I think he outplayed Darnell Savage, the other big draft pick in his rookie class. Nasir Adderley barely played. So clearly, even though I had Nasir first on my board, I had Juan second and Darnell third. Juan Thornhill was clearly the best player as a rookie, and I do feel like he took a lot of progress. Again, another year in the off-season program, I think Juan Thornhill will be even better. Maybe not in 2020, but by 2021, I think they will be pushing to be the best safety duo. Gunslinger, what's up, bud? When do we quit paying for John Dorsey's contracts on players? Pretty soon. A lot of them are coming up here very, very soon. And there's still a couple of guys that are holding on their draft picks, and those don't really hurt you because of the rookie draft scale. And the first contract is always something you can live with. So like K-Pass isn't going to hurt them. I think we'll see how he does next year and go from there. Chris Anderson, any shot that the Chiefs keep Terrell Suggs? Hey, you just won a Super Bowl there. I could see Suggs wanting to come back. It's going to be about pay. I'm not sure about the injury recovery from Agba, from Okafor. Those are question marks. Even Speaks is a question mark. Doesn't appear that he's been doing enough work, getting in trouble and stuff while he's supposed to be rehabbing. So I don't know what's going to happen there. I would not mind seeing Suggs back on a cheap contract. It's just got to make sense for the bottom line for the Chiefs. Rick Buddy, thanks for your donation. As always, I'm guessing you have a question down below. I will go find it. Let's see. There it is. Can I get a hell yeah for being a supporter all year? Absolutely, Rick. Hell yeah. And I appreciate it. You, Brian, you've been great all season. And folks, I do want to point out there's so many people that have been supporting me, not just monetarily, but by watching the videos, spreading the word. Growth on YouTube is about people who think stuff is good. And if you like this, please spread the word. I really appreciate that. And I want to make the membership thing because, again, it's something about money. I want to make sure that you get your value out of it. So whatever I come up with or whatever I ask you for ideas about, I will make it worth the while. Let's see. Oh, zombie. Yeah, Reggie Ragland is a free agent. I don't know if he's going to have the biggest market. I would love to see him come back. Um, and at the salary that he makes now as a part-time player, it's perfectly affordable. I would love to see him continue that. I think somebody's going to want him to be a thumper type in their defense. Some of the more old school guys, like Ron Rivera, I could see him digging Reggie pretty good and wanting him in Washington. So I don't know. I hope the best for Reggie, whether he's in Kansas City or not, but I'd love to see him stay. Aaron Morrow, how much of this team were you able to keep around next year percentage-wise? I think they're going to lose 20%. So that's 10 guys, right? I think that's about it. Brandon Meter, do you see Chris Jones' tweet that he's not going anywhere and plans to be in KC for a decade? I did not see that. I hope that he does. I also don't put a lot of stuff into social media when guys say it like that. When they make statements about what's going on, like right now, sure. When they make blanket statements about the future, this is the NFL. It's a business. It all comes down to dollars. So I don't put a whole lot of weight behind player comments on future contracts until they happen. Not saying it won't happen. I'm just saying, grain of salt. 65 TPT. Was Honey Badger's meltdown about on the sideline the fact that they were getting their butts kicked? That was it. He came out later and said that he was disappointed that they weren't playing like them, and then he needed to kick him in the rear, and he did, and I think that was the turning point. Jonathan Hill, are you going to take a break now that the season is over? You and Chris deserve a break. Thanks for a great year. Thank you for a great year, Jonathan. And we might take a week. I have a week I'm going to be in Florida for a kids sporting event that we're traveling to. I'll probably pre-record for some things for that week. But this is my big time of year in terms of my business and trying to further my analytics and try to get a foothold in the league and work for some teams. So no, there's no off season for me either, man. I will try to make it worth everybody's while, but this is a 365 thing for the NFL, and so it is for me too. I appreciate that, though, and we do work our butts off. In the off season, we have a tendency to record more podcasts on less days, so it's not like a 6-day-a-week grind like it is during the season. So that helps. Thanks, man. I appreciate it, though. Who's next? Dwight Raleigh. Did you hear that Pat Mahomes signed with Nolan Richardson to play basketball for the Razorbacks? Say what? Sorry. Oh, I scrolled. There it went. That's terrible. Okay. Dang, I'm too far behind. Sorry, guys. Scrolling. Willie Baker. Okay, I didn't see either of those. Oh, man, I am way behind. Okay. Continuing to go. I'm going to get quicker here. Oh, my Lord, we're almost done. All right, I'm going to hit all the big ones. Everybody who contributed, I'm going to answer your questions now. Brian Gooch. Fuller looked healthier at safety and could be a career move for Badger, Thornhill, and Fuller. That's my recommendation. I like Fuller at safety, and I think while you lose some girth, you lose some box presence by not going with Sorensen. I think Fuller, Thornhill, and Matthew are a great trio of coverage safeties, and I think that's what they're going to want to use. I love that. Stevie, do you dare draft another wide receiver this year? Yes, you do. I just don't think you do it in the first 2 rounds. Let's see. I know there was a couple other contributors, and anybody who throws me a contribution, I want to make sure I answer your question. Nothing against everybody else. We'll do this again next Monday, and we'll go all through it even more. Willie Baker, thank you for your contribution. How many O linemen do you think they will pick up, draft, and free agency? I think at least 3. I think you could see if Wiz retires, he might. You never know. The way that they left Andrew Wiley inactive for so long, they may not be happy with him either. I'm not sure Allegretti's ready, but he might be. Ryder, I think they might have to part with LDT, both for pay for performance. So I think between draft and free agency, I think you could see 3 come in and make the roster next year. It's a great question, Willie. Jake S. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. And I appreciate the support. John Coy, linebacker draft picks. Yes, I would take some, please. And I think linebacker is even an outside chance at the first round pick, depending on what corners are there. They're going to have a stack of cornerbacks on their list. I think there's a lot, but if it comes to 32 and they can't move back and they can't draft a corner that they like, I think linebacker is one of the next things that has some guys that are first round worthy and fills a need. So I think that's important. PJ Kesselman, what are your 3 top draft needs? They are cornerback first, interior offensive line, a guard or a center, and then linebacker. And I'm not even sure how far apart those 2 are. Let's see. Any other contributions that I have to make sure that I hit? Because you guys rock. Okay. coming down to question marks. Okie Buckeye. When was the last DJ we realized how good we had it? When we lost DJ, we realized how good we had it. Is there anyone that could fit in the offense that could bite us like that? Not right now, I don't think. I mean, Jones, if he won't sign a tag or they decide to trade him, I mean, that's a tough thing to overcome. But they can control his contract for next year. So, hey. BJ, thank you. I appreciate that. Any chance that we bring back Barry Brave Macaroon? No, man. I don't think Eric Berry plays again. I know he said he took this year off on purpose. I'm not sure I buy that. And I'm not sure even if he does try to come back that he can actually do it. So here's to Eric Berry and his health. And my memories of him in a Chiefs uniform will be good. Finn, you are a comedian. And folks, if you read his comment, no, I cannot spell to save my life. I need an editor just for Twitter. Aaron Morrow Southern Bell asks, would you be interested in a front page of the KC Star? Depending on what was on it, I'm not sure I understand. But sure. And you mean that you grab them? Yeah, I would love that. I'll get you the P.O. box too. If you have an extra copy of the front page, that would be awesome. Now I get what you meant. Sorry about that. Remy Melson, thoughts on moving up in the draft for a linebacker like Patrick Queen or Kenneth Murray? I think Murray's worth it. I don't think Queen is. I think Queen's a second rounder at best, maybe a third in terms of his actual value. You don't move up for those guys. Let's see. Thoughts on moving up? Oh, no, that was Remy's question. Okay, that looks like that was the last one. Okay. Thank you, guys. I know we went over tonight. I'm sorry I talk so much and I get so far behind. If you asked a question tonight and I didn't answer it, jump up front next time and I will try to hit them all, and I'll try to be quicker next week. Every Monday, all off season, all summer, unless I'm on vacation, we will have these chats on Monday nights. I'll have videos for you as well, and I'll try to come up with something new for the members. So appreciate all your time tonight. Everyone that contributed, thank you very much. It all goes back into the channel, so it's a great thing. I dig you guys. Enjoy this championship. Enjoy Wednesday. Take as much video as you can. Send me pics and videos on Twitter, on Facebook, whatever. We'll try to make it all work. Appreciate you guys. Have a great night, and I'll talk to you next time.